What about specifically Saquon Barkley, John? We debated that a lot. You know, that the reason the Saquon jersey came about is because of the conversation we had here on Birds 365 about Saquon Barkley. John, through the first 3 weeks, you could make an argument he's the MVP of the league. You could make that argument. I'm not saying he is. You could make that argument, though. He's been that good, leading the league in rushing. He's been unbelievable for this team. He's really been the game changer that some people expected him to be. Your thoughts on Saquon Barkley through 3 weeks of the season? Many are calling on you to eat some crow, John, on Saquon
Well,
Barkley.
the people calling him, first of all, well, he's been better than it, which I said. I don't care. Good for Saquon. Great dude, as I constantly said. He's been more impactful than I thought he was going to be. But it is the running game. It's not the passing game, which is kind of what I said, but people ignore that part of it. He had the wheel route in Green Bay, not in Green Bay, but against Green Bay and Brazil, which was the big play. And that's it in the passing game. When he does catch the ball, it's for minimal gains. He's not getting plays designed for him. That's what I said. Forget about the passing part of it. That's gravy. Can he be the difference maker in the running game? Can he close out games? Is the 4-minute offense better? It has been better. Certainly better in Green Bay. Was great in Atlanta before they didn't close it out, which is also Saquon in the receiving game. So he's been tremendous as a runner. The passing game. What did exactly as I told you? So for the Crow people, talented guy running behind a talented offensive line. He's been better than I expected, and that's a good thing. He's not the MVP of the league. That's kind of silly, but yeah, he's playing great. He's playing great.
He's playing really great. He's completely, in some ways, changed this offense.
He's a home run hitter. He's a home run hitter, and that's very impactful. Very impactful. He's not.
Yeah, but he's done more than hit home runs.
Yeah, if you look at the consistency from play to play, again, the best backs in the NFL, James Cook, Buffalo. David Montgomery's been great in Detroit. Aaron Jones has been great in Minnesota. Those guys. Saquon's been, top 10-ish. Bottom, he's actually 11. I'm looking it up. He's 11th in the NFL. That's very good.
11th in what?
PFF grades. He's 11th in the NFL, which is very good.
That's where I don't like PFF. I mean, the guy has literally broke open games for the Eagles. He's the reason, you could argue he's the number one reason we have 2 wins on the board, and he would have been the reason we had a 3rd win on the board.
Or you could look at it, he's the reason you're not 3-0.
Well, that's fine, but that doesn't take away the amazing plays he's had.
PFF grades are about consistency from play to play. That's what I'm talking about. Consistency from play to play. Now, however, I say it all the time. If people want to listen, they can listen, or they don't have to listen. Going 2 yards, 2 yards, 2 yards, 65 yards is more impactful than going 5 yards, 6 yards, 6 yards, 6 yards. So I've always compared him. He's a home run hitter. He's Ryan Howard in the middle of the Phillies lineup. And if you're losing 2-0 and Ryan Howard strikes out twice and then he hits the 3-run home runs, that is tremendous impact. And that's what I said from day one. Saquon's going to be about impact. And so far, for 2 of the 3 games, the impact was positive. For 1, the impact was negative at the end of the game. He's been great. He's been a very good player. But everything I've told you has turned out to be true. The passing game, overrated. Very good pass protector. Give him credit for that. That is kind of a lost art in the NFL. There aren't a lot of good pass protection backs in the NFL. He's top 10 there. He's usually top 10 there. And he's a home run hitter, and it's nice to have. When you have that, look at the 65-yard
Yeah, but
run.
you can't
Now,
just take the home runs out of it. That's baked in because at some point he's so good he's gonna get his home runs. Right now he's averaging the most yards per carry he's
who's
ever
taking
averaged.
it out of it? I just said it's huge impact.
I mean,
Who's
but
taking
he's
it?
averaging the most yards per carry in his career right now. He's got 5 touchdowns already through 3 weeks. He's
Who's
on pace for
taking?
nearly
But
2,000
my
yards.
question is, who is taking it out of it? I just said it's huge impact. I said you asked me the question, why is number 11? I said he's number 11 because those grades are about consistency from play to play.
Okay.
I'm the one who says I think it should be big. I'm the one who says impactful plays are more relevant than 6. I just said it. Than 6 yards, 6 yards, 6 yards, 6 yards. But
Right.
technically, 6.666 is better than 2.2265. That's what I'm saying from a consistency standpoint.
Well, don't you have a problem then with the way PFF does that? Like he's the
No,
number 1 rusher in
I
the league.
know how they grade. They grade like NFL teams grade. That's how they grade. They're looking for consistency from play to play. If you don't understand what the grades are the people that have problems. I know what they are. I know they're looking for consistency from play to play. They're not baking in the impact of the home runs. That's for other people to do, which I think I do a good job of it. I just explained it. It's very impactful. Like Ryan Howard in the middle of the Phillies lineup, very impactful. Jimmy Rollins was the comp. Chase Utley, more consistent players, but Ryan Howard was more important to those Phillies teams because he was the guy hitting the home runs and making the big impactful plate appearances to the point when the Yankees beat him in the World Series. Chase Utley hit 5 home runs in that World Series. You know why he hit 5 home runs? I think he hit 5, but we had Curb. You know why? Because the Yankees pitched to him every time because they didn't want to pitch to Ryan Howard. They didn't want to pitch to Ryan Howard with runners on base. So they said, we'll take it. If Chase is going to hit a solo home run, be my guest. And then they brought in Damaso Marte, this left-handed got from no left-hander in baseball could hit him at the time. And they made sure in impactful situations, that was the guy Ryan Howard was facing. And that's how they won a World Series. And they said, Chase Utley, do whatever the hell you want. So impact is huge. Impact is great. But I'm trying to explain the whole situation. And everybody, I'll eat my crow if everybody wants me to eat my crow. Can you eat your crow about the passing game? About his
right. I mean, look, 10 catches for 50 yards. He's not he hasn't been huge in the passing game, but how big he's
Have
been
you
in the
seen
running
any
game.
routes run for Saquon Barkley outside the wheel route?
No.
Meaningless is what I said. And it's turned out to be, and you'll see occasionally down the road, they'll go back to that play. They might even hit it. But I mean consistency from week to week. It's not going to be a big part of it. He's here to close games. He's here to do things. The 65-yard touchdown run is a perfect example. That is Cam Jurgens. That is Landon Dickerson. That is Jordan Mailata creating a hole that you usually do not see at the NFL level. Here's the difference.
There's no doubt that those guys deserve credit for that. But once you get to the second level,
here's the difference. Let me finish. Here's the difference. Other running backs are going to get 25, 30 yards. He got 65. That's the difference. There's a couple guys who could take it to the house, but most are going to get 25 to 30 yards because it was so well blocked.
You can make an argument they would get less. I mean, I don't know if Miles Sanders would have got 25, 30 yards on that play. He's hitting the hole.
Miles was a home run hitter himself. Now
he didn't hit the hole like Saquon Barkley hits the hole, John.
There was no hole to hit. It was a tunnel. There's no hole to hit. It was like the Holland Tunnel. He's never seen that in New York. people can watch the play. They can make their own assumption. Nobody had more 50-yard touchdown runs than Miles Sanders over a 3-4 year period. Why? Because he's running behind this offensive line, but he was also a home run hitter. He had a bunch of 50-yard runs and if you look at Miles, now people say, look, part of it is you're and I'm not trying to say Miles is better than Saquon because he's not. But if you look at his yards per carry with the Eagles, they're tremendous. 5.3, 5.5, 4.9 his last 3 years. 5.3, 5.5, 4.9. In that 2020 season, he had a bunch of 50-yard runs. So, Miles was good with the Eagles. He's not Saquon Barkley, but
no, he's not.
5.3, 5.5, 4.9.
Pretty good. I mean, I'm not saying it's not good, but he
That's-
clearly didn't have the impact in games that Saquon's had through the first 3 games
No.
of his Eagles career.
Well, it's 3 games, Zander, and
Well,
and
I
two
get
of
that.
it, and he
I can only analyze 3 games of Saquon in an Eagles uniform, John. I can't.
There's only 3 games. He lost one of them. This team should be 3-0.
Yeah, but come on, you know better than you can't put entire football games on one play, and that goes for a coach, that goes for a player, that goes for anybody.
Here we are. I said for a week, we talked about so many people are making excuses for a guy dropping a 1-yard pass, and here we are still making excuses.
I'm not
Can
making
we
an
at least
excuse for it. I'm just
stipulate?
saying there's always multiple moments in a game that you can chalk up to. That's not how.
It's funny. There is multiple moments. You don't lose any football game because of one play. You're right, and that's what coaches say all the time. And people get pissed off when Nick will say that. But when you want to make an excuse for a player, it comes right to the forefront. Bottom line is, that's exactly the situation you want to be in. Kellen Moore dials up the perfect play. The best player that you're talking about has no flaws, lost the football game. Now, as I said at the time, could the defense have picked him up? Yes. Could Jalen Hurts have picked up the defense? Yes. There's a bunch of other ways it could have happened. CJ Gardner-Johnson would be the hero. If Saquon could Saquon Barkley picked up CJ Gardner-Johnson and turned him into the hero with that 4th and 1 stop? You got to stop making excuses. 65-yard touchdown pass, run, awesome. That play, not acceptable.
I get that. Yeah, I'm just not ready to say we lost the game because of him.
Okay. He'll tell you they lost the game because of him. He'll tell you that. He did.
Defense gave up a 75-yard drive in 65 seconds, John. Are they not any part of it either?
The defense doesn't get on the field if he makes the simplest play in football. They're not relevant.
I get it. My whole point is that I don't like to put the entire games on one play. I get what you're saying. Yes, he should have made the play. Yes, they would have won the game if he made the play. But I'm not going to say that we lost the game.
When Saquon Barkley, to his credit, because he's a very accountable person, and again, Saquon's a great dude, and I can't say people think I dislike him for some reason. No, I try to look at the game objectively. He admitted it after the game because he is that guy. He knows. If he knows, why is everybody making excuses? He knows.
I get what you're saying. Make the play and we win the game. I get it.
Simple. Game's over. Game is over.
And the other side of it is, though, I mean, do we win the other 2 games without him? I don't know. Maybe we don't. I mean,
you don't.
He had 0 points on the board before he hit a home run.
You don't win the other 2 games without him. Why is it so hard to say, hey, you know what? You don't win the 2 other games without him. And you know what? He made a big mistake in the other game or we'd be 3-0. Why is it so hard?
I get what you're saying. I mean, look, I think he's been pretty impactful for the team is my whole point. I think he's been,
I just said that 100 times,
I know
but
you
you
have.
cannot admit that that is a play, especially someone that you're talking about like this has to make. You're talking about him like he's the most impactful player on a team with stars all over the place. And he's dropping a 1 yard pass with nobody on him. That's simple extension of the running game. To Anthony Gargano's point, you're more likely to fumble if you try to run it up the middle from an analytics standpoint than you are from dropping that pass. The game is over. Why am I still talking about this? Why is it so difficult just because you like a player? Who cares?
Yeah,
It
but
could have been Kenny Gainwell. It could have been Boston Scott. It could have been Miles Sanders. It could have been DeAndre Swift. Any of them.
Gainwell
That is
probably
a
makes that catch.
simple play for an NFL running back.
As BMO says, Gainwell probably makes that catch, Johnny. Man, he's a great,
Oh,
great
God,
receiver.
yeah. Kenny Gainwell. Everybody makes that catch. Miles can't catch a cold, and he makes that catch. Saquon knows it. He said it. Why am I still talking?
No, I get it. We were talking about his whole. I'm not going to use that one play. We're going to be in week 15, and we're going to say they lost the game because of Saquon. All right, I'm over it. He lost the game last week. Fine. He's still been a massive impact on the team. I think he's been.
We're talking about. You're talking about 2 games. I'm talking about 1 game. If they're 14-1, yeah. And Saquon's the impactful player he's been in 14. I'm not going to give a shit about it. We're talking about 3 games. So you're talking about 2 games. I'm talking about 1 game. So you got a slight advantage.
Yeah. All right. That's fine.
I mean, yeah, believe me, if they're 14-1, I'm not going to be talking about him making 1 mistake. I'm going to go, this is a great freaking season. They're 2-1. Guess what? They should have won week 2. They should have lost week 3. What, and they still would be 2-1 because
your point is it's balanced out right now.
Yeah, if the Saints didn't play Keystone Cops on the 60-yard play to Dallas Goedert, the game's over. The game's over. They're not getting 4th and 16.
Yeah, it's
and even if they gain 5-6 yards, they're probably not getting 4th 11 with Jahan Dotson and Johnny Wilson and Paris Campbell on the field. Just the attrition of what went on in that particular game. They got a break in week 3. They made a big mistake in week 2. Yeah, but we're talking about 3 games, and you're like, you want to erase 1 of the 3 games. All right. And then they're 2-0, and he's great, and everything's great, and everything's copacetic. But he's done a tremendous job as a runner. He's a big he's a big home run hitter. He's a great pass protector, which is an underrated and needed trait in a league that it's become, as I mentioned, kind of a lost art. And the passing game, hopefully this week in Tampa, if you don't have AJ, if you don't have Devontae, maybe they'll game plan to get him a little bit more involved. But you can see with when the full allotment is out there, he's going to be just a complimentary piece in the passing game.
That's for sure. I was definitely wrong about his impact on the passing. I mean, he's got 50 yards in the passing game through 3 games. So it's obviously, he's going to get a couple yards here and there, but as John pointed out, it's not meant to, he's not going to be the leader in that clubhouse. But everybody, you see, if you're new to the show, this is why we're giving away Saquon jerseys. We've been having the debate all off season, and it continues now into the season. Great stuff from Johnny Mac. We'll be giving away a Saquon Barkley jersey today, thanks to our new member, Xavier NeX. Appreciate you becoming a member, man. You're officially entered into the jersey giveaway. We'll be doing that at the end of the show today. We'll have Les Bowen coming up in 5 minutes. Before I do that, I want to rip through a couple of these super chats, John. A couple people pushing back. Prince says we could have easily been 0-3 with Saquon. John Daniel Bigelow says, John, he's on pace for 2,200 yards. And then that's about
do people stop when they don't want to? I said about 10 good things about Saquon, but I also pointed out an obvious play that kept him from being 3-0. Could they be 0-3 if they didn't have Saquon? Absolutely. What does that have to do with anything? You know, I just don't understand when a player, even when a player admits, and he literally essentially raises his hand and goes, that one's on me. Yeah. Why are you arguing about it?
Saquon did say that. I mean, he did.
Why? It's nonsense. He knows it. And again, it could be Kenny Gainwell. It could be Boston Scott. It could be Miles Sanders. It could be DeAndre Swift. Any running back this team has had in the Nick Sirianni era. It could be Trey Sermon. You know,
Trey Sermon getting a shout on.
You got to make you got to make that play. What?
I don't disagree with that. I do not disagree with that at all. He's got to make that play. I just didn't like.
No, they wouldn't be calling it to Trey Sermon, and that's the thing. They had trust in Saquon Barkley in a big spot, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. And he didn't make the play. It happens. It's not the end of the world. From my perspective, I would love to turn the page and stop talking about it, but I'm going to blame the person who to blame, and who has already taken the blame. Doesn't need me to blame him because he took the blame before I gave him the blame, because he's an accountable guy. But yet still, people want to make excuses. I guess that's fine. But yes, they would be in deep shit if they didn't have Saquon Barkley right now, especially without AJ. Because this offense is not the same. Oh, by the way, and don't go down that route with me. The best player on the Philadelphia Eagles remains AJ Brown.
I'm not going down that route, John.
Please don't go there.
I'm not going down that route. Giannisson becomes a member. Thank you, brother. We appreciate it for being a member here on JAKIB Sports. You're officially entered into the jersey giveaway. John, one last super chat, not on the Saquon Barkley topic, but on the topic of losing receivers. I actually think Prince brings up a good point. And you saw it a little bit at the end of the game yesterday with Jalen spreading the football around. Prince says, I like AJ Brown and Smitty and Wilson's lineup. I honestly see this as a blessing. I think Jalen will come out of this early stretch as a better QB. I do think it forces Jalen, John, to look around the field a little bit more and not focus. When you have a guy like AJ Brown, it's obvious you're going to focus on him. You know, when he's not out there, I thought Jalen spread the ball. I think 8 receivers got a touch in that game. Do you view this as a silver lining at all for Jalen Hurts?
I never view it as a silver lining when AJ's not on the field. I think that's evident. I think that's self-evident by the way the offense looks when he's not on the field.
Yeah, well, I think you'd obviously rather have him, but if you're trying to find the beauty in it, is this a silver lining?
Well, to the Johnny Wilson point, no. I mean, he's got a clearly defined role. I think people are skipping steps on him. And I don't necessarily, you don't need to. Jahan Dotson's got to pick it up. And he's got to be more relevant as that third receiver. Johnny at this stage, he's a good blocker. One of the best things about a lot of these guys, 6'6", 230, JJ Arcega-Whiteside, he wasn't that big, but a lot of these big receivers don't play like big receivers. Like AJ is a big receiver that plays like a big receiver. And he also runs a sub 4.4. So that's why he's who he is. But with Johnny, he plays like a big receiver. So I think that part of it's positive. He's very physical. But he's got a long way to grow. And Jahan Dotson's got to be the guy, but
I don't see
he
it.
got
John.
here late. He got here late.
With Dotson, yeah. I mean, I'll give him a couple weeks because he did get here late, but I don't see it right now with Jahan Dotson.
I haven't seen it either, but he does have the physical gifts. And again, as a third receiver, he's not going to see a ton of traffic at all. But yeah, he's more prepared to play than Johnny Wilson. I'm not going to go that far. But he hasn't been great. Boy, I hesitate to bring up for Prince and Prince's honor. 112 receivers played enough to be graded. Jahan Dotson, 100 of 112. Johnny Wilson, 111 of 112. So, they need AJ and Devontae on the field.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let's get to our commercial break. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Hit that like button if you're enjoying the show. Les Bowen is going to join us here after the break. Haven't seen Les yet in the green room, so he should.
Les texted me. He got no link, Zander. So we're doing some business.
Doing some business on the air. Let me get to the commercial break. I'll make sure Les gets his link. I don't know if it bounced or what. Let me look. Thanks for being here, everybody, on Birds 365. Hit that like button. We'll be back in 3 minutes with Les Bowen.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.